Welcome back, readers. Today we're going to be finishing the Magic Tree House, number 1, Dinosaurs Before Dark. So let's jump in at Chapter 8, A Giant Shadow. Jack jumped behind the magnolia tree. His heart was beating so fast he could hardly think. He peeked out at the giant monster. The horrible-looking creature was opening and closing its huge jaws. Its teeth were big as steak knives. Don't panic, thought Jack. Think. He peered down the valley. Good. The duck-billed dinosaurs were sticking close to their nests. Jack turned back to the Tyrannosaurus. Good. The monster still didn't seem to know he was there. Don't panic. Think. Maybe there's information in the book. Jack opened the dinosaur book and he found the Tyrannosaurus Rex. He read, Tyrannosaurus Rex is one of the largest meat-eating land animals of all time. If it were alive today, it could eat a human in one bite. Great, thought Jack. The book was no help at all. He tried to think clearly. He couldn't hide on the other side of the hill. The Antosauruses might stampede. He couldn't run to the tree house. The Tyrannosaurus might run faster. Maybe he should just wait for the monster to leave. Jack peeked around the tree. The Tyrannosaurus had wandered closer to the hill. Something caught Jack's eye. Annie was coming down the rope ladder. Oh my goodness. Is she nuts? What is she doing? Jack wondered. Jack watched Annie hop off the ladder. Annie hurried over to the pterodon. She was talking to him. She was flapping her arms and pointed to Jack at the sky at the treehouse. Is she nuts? Jack thought. Go back up in the tree, Jack whispered. Go! Jack heard a roar. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was looking in his direction. Jack hit the ground. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was coming toward the hill. Jack felt the ground shaking. What should I do? Jack wondered. Should I run, crawl back into Dinosaur Valley, climb the magnolia tree? Suddenly, a giant shadow covered Jack. He looked up. The pterodon was gliding overhead. The giant creature sailed toward the top of the hill. He was heading toward Jack. Chapter 9, The Amazing Ride. The pterodon coasted down to the ground. He stared at Jack with his bright, alert eyes. What was Jack supposed to do? Climb on? But I'm too heavy, thought Jack. Jack looked at the Tyrannosaurus. It was starting up the hill. Its giant teeth were flashing in the sunlight. Okay, thought Jack, don't think. Just do it. Jack put his book in his pack, and he climbed onto the pterodon's back, and he held on tightly. The creature moved forward. He spread his wings and lifted off the ground. Jack nearly fell off as they teetered this way and that. The pterodon steadied himself and rose into the sky. Jack looked down. The Tyrannosaurus was staring up at him, chomping the air. The pterodon glided away and sailed over the hilltop, over the valley. He circled above the duck-billed dinosaurs and all their nests filled with babies. The pterodon soared over the plain, over the Triceratops, who was grazing in the high grass. Jack felt like a bird. The wind was rushing through his hair. The air smelled sweet and fresh. Jack whooped and laughed. He couldn't believe it. He was riding the back of an ancient flying reptile. The pteranodon sailed over a stream, over ferns and bushes, and he carried Jack down to the base of the oak tree. Whoa. When they came to a stop, Jack slid off the creature's back and landed on the ground. The pterodon took off again and glided into the sky. Bye, Henry, called Jack. Jack, are you okay? Annie shouted from the treehouse. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He kept staring at the pterodon. Jack, Annie called. But Jack looked up at Annie. She smiled. Thanks for saving my life. That was really fun. Thank Henry, not me. Come on, climb up. Jack tried to stand. His legs were wobbly and he felt a bit dizzy. "Hurry!" shouted Annie. "It's coming!" Jack looked around. The Tyrannosaurus was headed straight toward him. Jack bolted up the ladder. He started climbing. "Hurry, hurry!" screamed Annie. Jack reached the top and scrambled into the treehouse. "It's coming toward the tree!" cried Annie. The dinosaur slammed against the oak tree. The treehouse shook like a leaf in the wind. Jack and Annie tumbled into the books. I wish to go home," cried Annie. "We need the book, the Pennsylvania book." "Where is it?" They both searched madly around the treehouse. "Found it," said Jack. He grabbed the book and flipped through the pages. He found the photograph of Frog Creek Woods. Jack pointed to the picture in the book. "I wish we could go home," he shouted. The wind began to blow. Jack closed his eyes, held tightly to Annie, and the treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. Home Before Dark. Jack heard a bird singing. He opened his eyes. He was still pointing at the picture of Frog Creek Woods. He peeked out the treehouse window. Outside, he saw the exact view in the picture book. "We're home," whispered Annie. The woods were lit with a golden late afternoon light. The sun was about to set. No time had passed since they left Frog Creek. "Jack! Annie!" called a voice from the distance. "That's Mom," said Annie. Jack saw their mother far away. She was standing in the front of their house and looked tiny. "Annie! Jack!" she called. Annie stuck her head out the window and shouted, "Coming!" Jack felt dazed. He just stared at Annie. "What happened to us?" he said. "We took a trip in a magic treehouse," said Annie simply. "But it's the same time as when we left." Annie shrugged. "But how did it take us so far away?" said Jack. "And so long ago?" "You looked at the picture book and said you wished you could go there," said Annie. "And the magic treehouse took us there." "But how? And who built this magic treehouse and who put all these books here?" "A magic person, I guess," said Annie. "Oh, look, I almost forgot about this." Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out the gold medallion. "Someone lost this back there," he said, "in Dinosaur Land. Look, there's an M on it." Annie's eyes got round. "You think M stands for magic person?" she asked. "I don't know," said Jack. "I just know that someone went to that place before us." "Jack! Annie!" their mom called again. "Coming!" Annie shouted again. Jack put the gold medallion back in his pocket. He pulled the dinosaur book out of his pack and put it back with all the other books. Then he and Annie took their last look around the treehouse. "Goodbye, house," whispered Annie. Jack slung his backpack over his shoulders. Annie started down the rope ladder, and Jack followed. Seconds later, they hopped onto the ground and started walking out of the woods. "No one's going to believe this story," said Jack. "So let's not tell anyone," said Annie. "Dad won't believe it," said Jack. "He'll say it was a dream," said Annie. "Mom won't believe it," said Jack. "She'll say it was pretend." "My teacher won't believe it," said Jack. "And she'll say that you're nuts," said Annie. "We'd better not tell anyone," said Jack. "I already said that," said Annie. Jack sighed. "I think I'm starting not to believe it myself," he said. They left the woods and started up the road to their house. They walked past all the houses on their street. The trip to the dinosaur time did seem more and more like a dream. Only this world and this time seemed real. Jack reached into his pocket and clasped the gold medallion. He felt the engraving of the letter M, and it made his fingers tingle. Jack laughed. Suddenly he felt very happy. He couldn't explain what happened today, but he knew for sure their trip in the magic treehouse had been real. Absolutely real. "Tomorrow," Jack said softly, "we'll go back to the woods." "Of course," said Annie. "And we'll climb up in that treehouse," said Jack. "Of course," said Annie. "And we'll see what happens next," said Jack. "Of course," said Annie. "Race you," and they took off together, running for home. The end. Oh my goodness, wouldn't it be amazing to have a magic treehouse and visit some dinosaurs? Well, next week we'll start the second book of the Magic Treehouse series. Thank you for reading with me today, friends, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.